Hello everyone. Today we'll be looking at the conjugation rules for converting adjectives from their present written form to their past written form. So the first one, that is the first conjugation rule to convert 현재 시제 to 과거 시제. 현재 means present and 시제 means tense. So 현재 시제 is present tense and 과거 시제 is past tense. So if you have an adjective which has a bottom means a final consonant that is in position number 3 for the 형용사, that is the adjective, before the da. You know that for most Korean words you have a da at the end just for namesake when you're writing it. So before the da in the syllable you have there, if you have a final character, a final consonant, then in that case you would add at or ot depending on the vowel in that final syllable. So if you have the vowels a or o, then you would add at. Or if you have o, u, e, in that case you would add ot. So it would be, for example, 얇다 means thin. So to say was thin, you would say 얇았다, because a is, according to that, you would add at. So that's what you have done here. So 얇다, 얇았다. Same way 높다, 높았다. 적다, and 적다 is having this vowel in the syllable before the da at the end. So it would be 적다, 적었다. 굵다, 굵었다. 가늘다, 가늘었다. 재밌다, 재밌었다. So it might be a bit difficult or confusing, but then if you try in the opposite way, as unlike what is mentioned, you would find that it is hard to pronounce in that case. And King Sejong designed the conjugation rules in this manner just for that sake. Always and always and always, his reason for creating such a language was the ease of writing and speaking, using the language in general. And that's exactly why the conjugation rules work like this. Now we have 5 more rules to convert present tense, that is written form, to past tense written form, which overrides this first rule you have seen. So it is literally exceptions to this first rule. So the next rule is, suppose the last character of the adjective is ha, and in that case that ha would change to het. So if you're taking the example of a very commonly seen verb, that is 동사, you would see that the 동사 for do, that would be 하다. 하다 is literally having ha as a last syllable. So that ha would change to 했다. And this conjugation rule is the same for verbs and adjectives. For most of the stuff we're gonna learn, to convert into different forms, it behaves the exactly same way. So if you learn the conjugation rules properly in the beginning, I'll tell you most of the conjugation rules are similar for most like verbs, adjectives, whatever it may be. Once again, for the ease of learning the language, because having so many different conjugation rules for different grammatical stuff would just make things harder for first-time learners, be it that the language is their mother tongue, still it would be hard for you. So to avoid that, the conjugation rules are similar, almost the same, almost everywhere. So you could learn it once properly in the beginning, so that I would, don't worry, I would repeat all these conjugation rules when we get to verbs. But still, if you learn this properly, you'll find that would be a lot easier for you. As I told, as it would be almost the same. So let's get to the adjective examples now that we have seen the verb examples. So 착하다, when you see 착하다, you see ha as the last syllable here, and that's the same for all the following adjectives given here, and it all behaves in the same way. So 착하다 becomes 착했다, 따뜻하다 becomes 따뜻했다, 시원하다, 시원했다, 신기하다, 신기했다, 굉장하다, 굉장했다. Now the next one is, suppose the bottom you have is beep. So you have beep as bottom, and in that case what you would do is take off that beep as bottom there and add watta as the next two syllables. It might be a bit confusing, so you just take the beep off and add watta as the next two syllables. And there is an exception to this rule, that is 좁다. When you have the word 좁다, which means cramped, you don't do anything, you just follow the first conjugation rule that we saw just minutes ago and apply that, and 좁다 would become 좁았다. So now we'll see what happens in this conjugation rule. 아름답다, when you see 아름답다 here, 아름답다, dap has a beep as bottom here, so it would become 아름다웠다 here. So you're taking the beep off and you have 아름다, and to that 아름다 you're adding 왔다. That's how 아름답다 becomes 아름다웠다. The same way, 뜨겁다, 뜨거웠다, 차갑다, 차가웠다, 춥다, 추웠다. Next. So if you have no final consonants, that is no bottom, and the vowel is in that case you would take off the from there and add o as vowel there and 상실 as bottom there. So it's literally like in the first conjugation rule we saw that if like that conjugation rule was for adjectives 형용사 with bottom, and this is literally the exact same conjugation rule, just that there's no bottom there, and we are specifying vowel here, and to that vowel we're just taking it off and adding the same vowel we saw otta there, and that o and 상시읒 is what we are taking here. So we are, for example, we have 크다. 크다 means big. So 크다, we are taking the of that 크다. We are taking that off, and in the place of we are adding o as the vowel and 상시읒 as bottom. So 크다 would become 컸다. Same way, 예쁘다 would become 예뻤다. But then if the vowel before the last character, that is like if you have as the last vowel, but you have some other syllable before that, and in that some other syllable you have the vowel as a, then in that case you would be taking off and adding a and 상시읒. Yes, it's confusing. I understand it's confusing because it was confusing for me too. But then when you see to it that for 아프다 you have a as the vowel in the syllable before the coming syllable. So you can add 아팠다, that is this one, or apotta according to this one. And both are correct. So you can either choose to learn this exception or you can choose not to do that. And it's absolutely alright. And it's absolutely okay to take the time to get yourself used to it. Just know that there's something like this, an exception, and understand that if people are speaking to you using this form, this apatta and napatta form, just understand that it's not wrong and just begin with learning what you can and then slowly upgrade yourself. So it's absolutely alright to take things slow. Coming to the next exception, and this is a very, very important one. And this exception is something you would see almost everywhere. This one word, let me tell you, it behaves so weirdly that you get annoyed because of that word in the beginning, and then as you go along the language you get so used to that word acting weirdly that you would, like, if it is not acting weirdly, you would just think, why the hell is this word not having some special weird rules and exceptions and all that? So it's that weird of a word, and that is paruda. Paruda means fast. So you have a before the but still what happens is, because the last syllable is r, what you would do is that you would add real to the syllable before that as bachim, and as the last syllable you would use ratta. So paruda, pa to pa you would add real as bachim, and this r would become ratta. That's how palatta comes around. So paruda becomes palatta. As for the next one is when the last vowel you have is e. So nirida is having last vowel as e. The same for all the next given ones. So what happens is, what you have to do here is that take the e off, and in place of e add yo and sangshet as bachim. Of course, when past tense comes, you know that everywhere sangshet comes. So sangshet, you don't have to do much to remember sangshet. It's not like you would say mango, mangoes, and man, men. There's nothing like that kind of weird, completely new words coming out of a root word. It's just you're adding sangshet and just tweaking some vowels here and there. So nirida becomes niryotta. That is e changing to yo. 잘생기다, 잘생겼다, 못생기다, 못생겼다. So 잘생기다 and 못생기다, these both are opposites, and paruda and nirida are opposites. And 좋다, 나쁘다 are opposites. And you could also say that 예쁘다 and 못생기다 are opposites, because 예쁘다 is pretty and 못생기다 means ugly or not handsome or not pretty, anything like that. And 따뜻하다, 시원하다, these are opposites. 뜨겁다, 차갑다 are also opposites. And 춥다, 덥다, these both are also opposites. And 덥다 also behaves like 춥다. So 덥다's past tense would be 더웠다. Now we're going for the last conjugation rule for today. Just for today. So if you have the last vowel as a and you have here as the bachim there, then what would happen is that you would just change that a to a, and as usual add your sankshed there. So would change to ed. So examples are given here. Parigatta. Parigatta means read. Parigatta, parigetta. Noratta, noretta. Paratta, paretta. So for blue color, you can say paranseg. Seg means color. So instead of saying just blue, you're saying blue color. So paranseg. Paranseg, when it becomes past tense, it would become paransegios or paransegiota, depending on you're using spoken form or written form, respectively. For paranseg, that is blue, there's also other two words, that is not two words. For paranseg, you can also say puranseg. Paranseg and puranseg both are the same. So that would become puransegios or puransegiota. And but there's no other exception, no other synonyms like that except for black. Black, that is kamatta. So kametta, both would come depending on the tense. And if you're adding seg to that, that is color to that, it would become common seg. And that would be common segioso, common segiota, depending on the tense. Depending on the form. Other colors are parganseg, then chorokseg. Chorok means green. Then white, hinseg. These are some of the colors. And all this material, you can find it in the description box, in the link I have given for you to download the material that I teach from. And this is in page numbers 61, 62 and 63. It's pretty easy to find, so put in your doubts in the comment box below, and thank you for listening.